You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio. That's AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, even broken computers that sometimes they don't seem to function right, and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Legal Shield at 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305, or check them out online for more information at nocourt.us. That's nocourt.us. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Magic 97.9 FM right here in Las Vegas. Also broadcasting in hotels in over 200 markets, in upscale resorts and hotel rooms, about 650,000 of them, plus Comcast, Cox, Spectrum, Frontier, and WOW Cable. We're everywhere, even on social media, folks. You can't get away from us. All right, we're back here with two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior, Tyrone Poole. Tyrone, what's happening, buddy?
How's it working? How's it working? Everybody who is listening and watching. You're tuned in. Your dial is tuned in to the right station, the Sports Circus. Man, we got a great show today. What we got, Sal? What we got, baby? I got my popcorn and my soda ready.
All right, right from the very top. Listen, from the very top, we've got a very special guest. In fact, I'm just going to let him introduce himself. Go ahead.
Me?
That's you, yes.
All right, listen, that's John Niland. Played with the Dallas Cowboys for 10 years, Philadelphia Eagles a couple of years, went to a few Super Bowls. We were in a lot of playoffs. I decided to retire because my legs gave out, the whole body gave out. I forfeited my body and played offensive guard for most of those years.
So as an offensive guard, Tyrone, on the other side of the ball, you being a corner, what do you have to say to a guy like John, who's been there, he's been an all-pro, been in the Pro Bowls, won a Super Bowl like you, et cetera, et cetera. What do you got to say to the big, burly John Niland on top of that?
Now, it's always an honor to meet someone that is part of the past that helped bring forth the future, and to actually be able to speak to someone. I'm just excited as everyone who's listening and watching to just hear what John has to say, not only about the game itself, but off the field, the transition of playing the game, and then how he had to transition after the game, because that is something that we all, regardless of sports or life, we're going to work till we become 65 years old, those in corporate America. But sports is a little bit sooner that we have to retire, but we got to make that transition from our activity to our life. So I'm honored just to sit here and be able to listen to John sit back and tell his story. So I got my notes, I got my pen, my pad. I'm taking down everything I can.
So, hey, John, I got to ask you, looking on the wall, I see a picture of a big 76 up there. What's that picture that's right over your right shoulder? Yes, sir.
Right there?
Yes, sir.
Or up here?
Yeah, actually, that one. No.
Oh, this one
right.
here.
No.
No, there's another one up there. It's right here.
Oh.
Yes, sir. That's the one.
That's it.
Oh, and they come off the wall, too. Look at this.
Yeah,
Hey, that's a great picture. Yeah, you look the same.
That's just one of our team pictures that they took. Every time the photographer came to take the team picture, they would take individual pictures, and that's my individual picture. That's all I can say.
Well, nowadays, Tyrone, they have the digital cameras, right? So if you don't like the picture you've taken, it's like, oh, wait, let's go ahead and take it again and again and again. Unlike the old days where you're stuck with it, kind of like the driver's license pictures, right? Sometimes we have the worst driver's license pictures. I mean, the women could bat their eyelashes and maybe get another picture taken at the DMV, but we can't as guys.
Exactly. That's true. Today's technology, man, you can do so many things. That's why you got to always ask people for their baby pictures. Let me see your baby picture. Technology. Back in the day, you took that picture, that's what it was. But today, they can do so much photoshopping.
I remember
So,
when
John,
I played, I ordered a copy of the game film because, we would have a copy of the game film, right? Usually the next day, but it was on videotape and it wasn't, we didn't get enough time to really study it. So I'd actually buy a copy, take it home and study it for my position, just getting ready for the game. So I've got copies of all the games I played. I don't have them anymore because I donated them. But I used to have copies of everything that I wanted. I wanted to make sure I had a copy of it. So I'd order a copy, have videotape delivered to my house, study the game plan, study the game films, and get ready for the next game.
John, let me ask you a question. So if you look and you see Tyrone's setting, his bookcase with those wonderful trophies and all those helmets and whatnot in there, you see all that and you say, hey, did the Cowboys give me a hat? Did the Eagles give me a hat? You get your helmets when you're done playing? You get to keep your helmet?
If I wanted to, I think I did, yes. I kept it. I eventually donated it to a charity, but I did get my helmet. No, they were they were very stingent about what they would give you.
Well, I asked the question because it seems to me that Tyrone's got a bunch of really cool helmets up there, and he also has a brick. And there's one that's a brick. There's one organization I asked Tyrone a few times. I'm like, hey, Tyrone, are they going to give you a helmet?
I don't think you heard that. Well, anyway, we didn't get anything. The only thing we got was championships. We won championships, and I can say that every year that I played for them, we were in the playoffs, and so we were in some championship game every year. So as far as the helmets go, that's a nice background. But were they all donated to you? Was that all donation? Tyrone?
Yeah, most of the times what you do, if you are a person that the team considers very important to the organization, then usually you can get what you want. You go to the trainer, you say, hey, I want to keep my helmet. They're going to let you keep it because they're not going to say anything to the superstars. Now, if I was someone that was trying to make the team and I asked for a helmet or a jersey, they probably tell me, are you kidding me? But when you're a star and they know you're intricate part of the team, then you can pretty much ask for what you want and you pretty much would get it.
Well, it's a nice background, and good thing we call this the Sports Circus because you apply right there and you got all the support standing behind you.
Well, you notice I have no helmets behind me. I just have a giant head that you probably couldn't even fit a helmet on top of it because it's a little bit large. But nonetheless, no, I love the fact that on Tyrone's bookcase he's got all those wonderful helmets and trophies and stuff. And John, you've got all those pictures and all those great memories. I mean, even when I'm in the regular office, all I have are just a bunch of props from different sporting things and whatnot. And I keep a baseball glove from back in the day, and that's about it. I don't really have anything else. I don't have any World Series trophies or anything like that. In fact, I'm lucky they even let me on a club in the first place. But nonetheless, it's cool to have those mementos. And John, out of the pictures above, over your shoulder or whatever, is there one that stands out that this is my favorite?
Well, as far as a picture of me, the one I like is when I got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, they had a ceremony for Bob Lilly on the Cowboys. And on that particular day, I went up to shake his hand. And that was just kind of it's too far away. Yeah. That's a picture of Bob Lilly and I. I have to say that Bob Lilly made me an All-Pro. Now, when I say all pro, I mean he made me work at it. He made me develop it. He came to me with suggestions. And if it wasn't for Bob Lilly, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. So Bob is probably my biggest fan.
That's good stuff.
Now,
Tyrone, did you have somebody that made you?
I'm looking at John's stats, and John, you played 138 snaps, and started 138 and 126. You actually started. What back in that time? I'm like, you guys, forearms probably had metal plates in it. What is the key back then to starting and maintaining to start all those games? That's 126 games. That's a lot of games.
Well, you got to keep in shape. I was a guy that was very much, I wouldn't say I was crazy about physical activity, but I would go out and basically say, hey, if I'm going to play racquetball, or if I'm going to play tennis, if I'm going to play any of these other sports, I want to get good at it. And so consequently, I'd really focus in on it. Same thing with football. When I wanted to play good football, I focused in on it. And I practiced, and I just, had confidence in me. And I just knew that the guy across from me wasn't going to beat me. Now, he might beat me on a particular play.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to be back here in just a few minutes on the Sports Circus, back here with Tyrone Poole, two-time Super Bowl champion, American Ninja Warrior, and John Niland, also Super Bowl champion, back in a few minutes. Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this commercial right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196. Paid for by Legal Alert Line.
If you're tired of the fake news and tired of all the left-wing BS and agendas out there, if you want to do your right part to clean out the swamps and hit the lefties where it hurts, their pocketbook, we all know the president and his cronies hired thousands more IRS employees and agents. Now that's not very American. There's a way to fight back. Fellow conservatives out there, call American Tax Relief. They can help you pay less to the IRS. Don't you give a penny more to spend to the left-wing agendas. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes or haven't filed your taxes in years, call my friends at American Tax Relief. They'll give you a 100% free introduction to their program, and trust me, they're on the right side of your freedom. Pay the IRS less. Call now.
800-958-2157. 800-958-2157. That's 800-958-2157. Paid for by the Tax Doctor.
You're watching the Sports Circus, and I am Brian Erlacher.
Oh, good people, good people. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to the Sports Circus. My name is Tyrone, two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior. This segment of the Sports Circus is brought to you by the Tyrone Poole 38 Foundation, where we are building champions locally and globally. And if you want to help us continue to build champions, you can go to TyronePoole38Foundation.org. There you can give us your time, sign up your talent, or you can give us some of your treasure. Either way, you are helping us to help others become champions, refilling, reforming, and just helping people with ultimate success in life. You guys are joining us today. We have a great guest, a former Dallas Cowboy, Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowl. I'm like, the guy's done it all. First round draft pick, John Niland. John, it's an honor to have you here on the Sports Circus. And I want to ask you, myself being a first round draft pick, I really didn't have an opportunity to go through that rookie hazing, so to speak, because I came into Carolina. It was a new team, and pretty much everybody on the team that were veterans, they were just hoping they were going to be around, so they didn't want to do anything to get themselves thrown off the team. So I had a pretty much an easy road my rookie year. Yourself, what was it like when you came in your rookie year? Did you have to do something every day? What did they require the rookies to do, the veterans? What did they require the rookies to do your rookie year?
Well, as a rookie, you're supposed to obviously give them all the effort and energy that you got. But also, I had a 3-year no-cut contract. A 3-year no-cut contract. That was back in the 60s. That's what they did. So if they cut me, they had to pay me anyway. But they didn't cut me for 3 years, and I went on for 10 years. But the whole idea of it, when you can go and check on that contract, that's a little bit different. I don't think they do that today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's something else that's impressive about your career. Again, I myself being a first round draft pick from Fort Valley State. Fort Valley State has produced a lot of great NFL talent. Greg Lloyd, Pittsburgh Steelers, Avoid Lloyd, a heck of a player. And you also had an opportunity to play with Fort Valley State University's only Hall of Famer, Rayfield Wright. Yes. Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about Rayfield Wright. You guys both on the same offensive line. I'm like, what was it like?
Well, he was more or less like the anchor. He played offensive tackle, but he was the anchor of the offensive line. In other words, whatever success we've had, I'd have to say start there. The offensive lineman, obviously, there's a lot that we have to accomplish. And Rayfield, who didn't have a lot of background but had a great career, turned out to be the leader of that team. As far as I'm concerned, he was the leader of the offensive line. And I played with him for many years. Consequently, we had a lot of success.
Do you guys communicate today? Like brotherhood? You guys stay in touch?
I don't stay in touch necessarily, but I've seen him in some kind of brotherhood activities where we go and sign autographs and stuff like that. And he'll be also there signing autographs. But outside of that, that's the only time I talk to him. And I don't see it that often.
Well, hopefully Sal and I have that brotherhood with the Sports Circus, and maybe 60 years, 100 years from now, we'll do some autograph signings up under the big top. What you think, Sal?
You know what? I can honestly say that you'll be signing everything for us because, again, the only thing people will probably remember about me is that I'm sometimes a polarizing figure. Sometimes I'm not everybody's best friend. Who's going to want my autograph? I don't really know. I mean, I'm not really sure about that one. But what I can say, Tyrone, is that you class the place up every time we walk into a building. You know that as well as I do.
Well, praise God for that. Thank God. You do your job as well, Sal. But
Well,
that's it's just an honor again. I can't say enough. It's just an honor to be able to talk to and listen to someone, interview someone such of your caliber. So again, my hat goes off to you. All honor due to you. So I just want to say that again.
So, hey, John, I got to ask you a question. All right. So out of all the years you've played in, and this has come up numerous times, and I know Tyrone and I had talked a little bit about this too. You know, you played against that Steel Curtain from Pittsburgh, right?
Correct.
Was Mean Joe Green as mean as everyone said, or was he just another guy that maybe, I don't know, maybe had foul breath or something? I don't know what it was. What was so mean about Joe Green?
Well, I think other than just having a name that married up to a word like green, Mean Joe Green was mean. He could hurt you. He could come power rush you. He could slap you in the face and or slap you in the helmet. He'd get your attention, and then you'd have to block him. Wasn't easy.
Okay. Who was the toughest guy on that club that you had to face? Because at that time it was the Steelers defense, whatever. Who was the roughest, toughest, whatever that you had to face every down?
It wouldn't be on it. Well, I think it was Bob Brown from the Cleveland Browns. Do you remember him at all?
Me? No, I don't. Tyrone, do you?
No, name doesn't sound, but I'm pretty sure.
From Pittsburgh. Well, from Pittsburgh, it was actually Joe Green was a tough guy to block, and I blocked him quite half the game typically because he'd be over me. Sometimes he'd go with somebody else. But that was probably the toughest guy to block. But the guy from Cleveland was a big 300-pounder. If Joe Green was 300 pounds and could play the way that guy did, I would have been impressed. But this his name was Brown, and I can't remember his first name. Bob Brown is what I thought his name was. You might have to check that out.
I'll tell you what, John, in those days, I mean, that was a very large human, and the game was played a little different. And, it's funny. I've sat and talked with guys that have played at the same time that you have played and maybe a few years prior to. I've heard all the stories I had some really fun conversations with Dick Butkus and with Jerry Kramer, talking about how they would bite each other's fingers and all kinds of crap, pull their fingers and do everything you could possibly think of. Now, you didn't do any of that. Now, did you?
Well, if they stuck them in my mouth, I would, yeah. No, I mean, you would be surprised at what goes on there in that offensive line. It's not just biting fingers, but I mean, they want to hurt you. That guy crossing you, he wasn't your friend. He wanted to hurt you. And I felt the same way. So all I did was just kind of keep plowing away. I was kind of a good workhorse.
Well, John, were you the guy to stick your fingers in somebody's face mask, or were you the guy that was reactive? Did you initiate the crazy play? Or, I mean, it doesn't matter now. No one's going to call a penalty on you, right?
Right. I think it's a combination of things. I don't remember getting called for grabbing a face mask or anything. We never really were. But I think the defensive linemen, they kind of played at that level. They would stick their hands in your face mask, in your stomach, in your chest, in your throat, in your throat. Whatever they had to do to get your attention, to get your blocking, to drop your arms for not blocking anymore. That's what they did, and they're pretty good at it.
Well, Tyrone, as a corner, did you ever find yourself doing any of that where nobody had seen you do it, or was anyone ever trying to do that to you?
No, not at all. I was a man-to-man corner, so really different techniques are required to play man-to-man. Only time something like that would probably happen if you get around the pile and, you're blocking somebody, but I was a cover corner.
He said get around the pile. So, folks, if you're just tuning in, by the way, it's a good football conversation, but it's cool because we're hearing about fingers and eyeballs and throats and, again, getting around the piles and whatnot with a couple of Super Bowl champions. I got to tell you, this is fun stuff. It's not very often that people have that opportunity to have this sort of a dialogue with somebody that played in an era where almost anything goes. And then you have a speed and heavy era with guys that are very, very fast. Oh, and by the way, they're large humans. And Tyrone, in the last minute or so, the contrasting difference between maybe the 1970s football to the 2000s football from a speed standpoint, what does that look like? And also from a weight standpoint?
Really, I can't answer back in the past. I can only answer where the era that I played in. That's why I think people shouldn't try to even compare who's the best in overall, because each era was different. The training methods were different. So in my era, from the 90s to the 2000s, it was speed, quickness. That was what they were sought after. Back probably in the past, they were looking for, size. That's why you had defensive backs like Dick Knight, Train Lane, and, Mel Blount. Those are guys are big and tall, but could they play in this era of football now where wide receivers are running faster than you can blink your eye and can turn on a hiccup, so it's a different era. So for me, I can't go and speak on what they do in the past. I can only speak of what the era of football is now.
That's good stuff. I'll tell you what, folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to come back with Super Bowl champion John Niland from the Dallas Cowboys and two-time Super Bowl champion, New England Patriots, and American Ninja Warrior Tyrone Poole. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Do you own an annuity, either fixed rate, indexed, or variable? Are you paying high fees and getting low returns? If so, Annuity General would like you to have this free book to learn the pitfalls and mistakes of buying an annuity. The Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers contains the little-known truths about annuities, like how to help reduce your fees and increase retirement income. And it's free. That's right, free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report just for calling. We researched over 1,000 annuities and summarized rates and benefits from financially strong insurers. You get Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling Annuity General today. Hurry, supplies are limited. Call now.
800-253-6831. 800-253-6831. 800-253-6831. That's 800-253-6831.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. That's 800-320-2751. Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA. the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
This is Tyrone Poole. Work that thing. Two-time Super Bowl champion. You are listening to the Sports Circus with my man, Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio. That's AAMP.TV. Folks, this segment is brought to you by Kelly Vegas, helping people create and host their very own radio, TV, or multimedia talk show. Kelly Vegas can help them with everything they need to get out of sitting in hours of traffic, commuting back and forth to the same old boring job, and host their very own talk show in their very own home studio. For more information, contact Kelly Vegas at 949-445-1119. That's 949-445-1119. Again, 949-445-1119. Or visit online for more information at www.kellyvegas.com. That's CALI Vegas.com. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu on the New York Yankees radio network, the San Francisco 49ers radio network, and also the Alabama Crimson Tide radio network. Big hello to our friends over in LA listening in on NBC News and CNBC Financial, in Las Vegas, Magic 97.9 FM, as well as down in South Texas, KSIX, CBS Sports Corpus Christi, home of the Astros, Rockets, and Texans, up in Faraday, Louisiana, and Natchez, Mississippi. That would be 107.1 The River, Mid-South Broadcasting in Auburn, Alabama. That would be home of the Auburn Tigers, that is. That's why we said, the Alabama Crimson Tide previously. Nonetheless, on the Atlanta Braves radio network, WAUD 1230 AM, and over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Big welcome back to everybody watching on social media. Also in hotels from coast to coast, hotel television, and on Comcast, Cox Spectrum, Frontier, Wow Cable, Tampa, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Cincinnati, Detroit, New Mexico. We're everywhere. You can't get away from us, folks. All right, back here with two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior Tyrone Poole, and Super Bowl champion from the Dallas Cowboys as well. That would be All-Pro guard, Mr. John Niland. A big welcome back to everybody. Now that I just spent a few minutes to blurt out all that data. All right, now I get to take a breath. And John, as I had asked Tyrone in the previous segment, as far as the speed of the game, for example, and maybe the size of the game, John, think back to when you played and compare and contrast, if you can, the size and possibly the speed of what you've observed in the game today.
Well, I was 250 pounds, but I played at 245 because these guys were fast. Tyrone will probably tell you, he had to crash the end when it's hit, and then sweeps, and then maybe I had to end up blocking them and everything. So consequently, I had to know what he was doing. And maybe sometimes it was linebacker, sometimes it was a defensive back. I'm talking about an end sweeps now, when you pull and try to do an end sweep with the running back. My job was to pick one of those three guys. Well, the guys like Tyrone, they weren't easy to find, first of all, and they were smart. They didn't get hit. They usually got around the guy like me, and I couldn't say that I didn't do a good job to that particular play, but that particular idea was you pull them out, you lead around in, and you catch Tyrone or somebody out there, you're trying to get the job done. And that was probably one of my favorite blocks would be called a cut block, because as big as they were, it was easier to block them up top, but they didn't want to meet you up top. They want you to, they try to get under you. And so I tried to throw a cut block on them to get started. And by the way, I mentioned at the beginning, the reason I was able to make those adjustments is that Coach Landry, we couldn't weigh over 250 pounds as an offensive lineman. Now, if you can imagine that today, that wouldn't fly today, but 250 pounds was the most you weigh. If you're overweight, it was like $20 a pound or 20, you got fined every week. So consequently, I was one of the guys that I enjoyed playing at 250. Had no problem playing at 250. I had pretty good speed. And, fortunately, I didn't have to go find Tyrone.
Yeah, 250, that's like a tight end in today's game. Tight ends usually weigh anywhere from that 235 to 250 range. So, John, you'd probably be a tight end. You would probably be split out wide and get some one-on-one coverage by the linebacker so they could throw the ball up to you and score touchdowns.
Well, if I could catch the ball as well as you could or intercept it, I probably would, but I wasn't much of a catcher.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I remember going back my younger years, and I know you mentioned Bob Lilly, and he taught you a lot. I remember a veteran linebacker coming to me, and his name was Carlton Bailey, and he played with the Buffalo Bills, and he got picked up by the Carolina Panthers. And myself coming from an aggressive style of football in college, where basically you hit anything that moved. And if you were not in the picture, the film, doing the tackle, then you were considered loafing. So when I got to the NFL, I'm like tackling everything. I'm like even people on my team doing practice. And one day Carlton Bailey came up to me and gave me some wise wisdom. And he says, young fella, he said, come here for a moment. He says, the name of the game is longevity. He said, you can't make money in the training room. So at the time, I'm like, young guy, I'm like, this is how I play. I play aggressive, I play fast, hit anything that moves. And then it was later in my career when I saw what he meant. And it didn't happen to me, but I saw it happen to someone else, where this top running back, very good running back, got injured. And they used his injury against him to not pay him. So from that moment, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna slow my game down and I'm gonna tackle if necessary. Other than that, it's all about longevity. Was there anything that maybe Bob Lilly or any other veteran might have told you that you were like, hey, you know what? Not only am I going to use that now, but I'm going to pass it down to everybody who I come across that's playing this game of football?
Well, the main thing you had to do as far as Bob Lilly goes, Bob could power rush you. Bob could run inside you. He'd run outside. He had better speed than I had. And consequently, I just had to keep my eyes open. It's very hard to keep your eyes open when you're supposed to hit a guy with your helmet. Somebody's going to blink. And typically it wasn't me. So I could say that when I did my blocking, I watched my face mask go right into his shoulder, right into his helmet. It was really that was my favorite kind of block, is a straight ahead block. And consequently, I did it pretty good. And a lot of guys got past me on one or two plays a game. Maybe somebody would come up and make and embarrass you with a great defensive play. It was your job to block them. We had a lot of those, over the years, but nothing to the point where we had a bad player that couldn't block. Because what they did is we drafted some very good offensive linemen. And when you look at people like Rayfield, these guys really set the pace for the game, for our game. And that's all we were. We were 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And we could also throw the ball. People like Calvin Hill and Dwayne Thomas, they could run with the ball, and they could also catch the ball. So we had a pretty good complete offensive line, defensive line, and that sort of thing.
And you served some time in the military too, I see. Now, football and the military, what are the similarities that you would say helped you in both?
Well, as far as being in the service, I think discipline was probably the most important thing. Is the discipline you have, because it's a different type of discipline. It's not just a number, but discipline from the standpoint of how you're going to perform. What you're going to do when the bullets start overhead, what do you do? Bob Bob Hayes, he was in training camp with me. And then we also got drafted, not drafted, we volunteered to go in the National Guard, but we had to go to basic training. And that's the same basic training that everyone who gets drafted has to go through. And when I watched Bobby Hayes and I were back at training camp, we were talking about when we had to get in there and attack a fire when they started bombing a certain area. How fast would we go in there to try to get out of the immediate area? And we learned one thing I remember we learned to crawl on our stomach. And here's Bob Hayes. I'm crawling on my stomach, and here's Bob Hayes running right past me, and getting to the other side because they kept dropping bombs on us, or shooting over our head. They told us they had 6 feet. At 6 feet, if you stand up, you're going to get killed. So just stay low. So Bob Hayes stayed low, ran past all of us, and got to the other side before anybody else. And I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. But anyway, go ahead, Sal. What are you going to say?
Oh, nothing. I'm just telling you, we have 1 minute left in the segment. Folks, you can't see what we're doing here. So here's what we're doing. We're giving a little cue. This is live. We don't fix anything in the mix. So when we do this, we got 1 minute this, we got 2 minutes, three minutes, etc. So actually now we've got about 30 seconds or so. So wrap up that story, if you will, and then we're going to go to a quick break, okay?
Yeah, well, the main thing is I learned to pull around and go after some pretty tough guys. And, you know, as you remember, there's certain players you want to stay away from. Don't call a play that way. Let's call a play the other way. Or even on defense, you know, you have a certain defense you favor. And we had tremendous opportunities because we ran well. Our team was a running game.
That's good stuff. All right, back here in just a few minutes with John Niland, Super Bowl champion, Dallas Cowboys, and Tyrone Poole, 2-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior. Back here in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Can't be fun at the old ballpark, friends. High pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth. I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people, but when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has a Barbary over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I think if there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch, bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. 1 ball, 1 strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, here's a pitch foul out of play. Why not talk about commercial products that don't do what they represent to do? They told me when they hired me it was a temporary job. Born and raised in St. Louis, and you can imagine the Cardinals were my favorite team from the day I could remember. And all of a sudden, the miracle of life, I'm broadcasting Card games. And I own the town and broadcast them for 25 years, and I thought they're going to give me a gold watch, and they gave me a pink slip. Then I went out to work for Charlie Finley for a year, and that's par for the course. Came to Chicago, and I was with the White Sox 11 years, and now with the Cubs. Never missed a game, never missed a time at bat, never missed a half inning that I was supposed to do. You know, Chicago is such a marvelous city. Hey, we got some Chicago people. You know, you never succeed in this business until you've had the experience of working with a terrible hangover. Not until you've been able to come through with flying colors under those circumstances can you consider yourself a professional. Lord knows, I've had more than my share of hangovers.
There's a drive, way back, it might be, it could be, and it is. Holy cow, this crowd is wild.
This is Dwayne Clemens, former Bengals, Chiefs, and Viking, and you're watching the Sports Circus.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio. That's AAMP.TV. Check it out, all ages media programming. This segment is brought to you by the Sports Circus. Make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are our podcasts. They can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and also by clicking the logos that are there for our affiliates for NBC News, CNBC Financial, CBS Sports, etc. They'll take you to the recorded shows library, which there are well over 1,000 shows there nonetheless. So take a break for a couple of months and listen to the Sports Circus 24/7. One of our partners also, make sure you check out the partners page, is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, CSNCoyotes.com for upcoming events and games. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, CSNCoyotes.com. Okay, and a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. And everybody also in hotels, thanks for joining us. Social media, Comcast, Cox Spectrum, Frontier, Wild Cable. We're back here with two-time Super Bowl champion and American Ninja Warrior Tyrone Poole, and Super Bowl champion and legendary guard. That would be John Niland from the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. We don't want to forget that. So, hey, John, over all the years of playing and, your body taking wear and tear, and I know it's got to be a transition for every ball player, but also make it a transition to a higher power as well. Talk a little bit about the things that are important to you right now.
The important things right now are it's important to all of us, and that is, now aside from just trying to add more favor to that, the bottom line is that everyone's got to make that decision. If you make that decision, it's a matter of saying that I accept Christ as my Lord and Savior, and that's very important to me now. And whenever I get a chance to speak, it's usually the focus of my speech. My focus is basically, we have a lot to be thankful for, and it all came from the same source. It all came from the same source, and God's been very gracious to all of us. At the same time, it's been a rough road. It's been a very interesting rough road, and we all have some kind of demons to try to deal with all alive. But I just think that, in my case, I was just grateful that I had the intelligence to accept it, understand it, and now I preach it when I get a chance.
Tyrone, those are good words.
Very good words. Very good words. Very good words, Sal. Very good words, John.
Thank you.
So the significance that all this has played in your world as you've transitioned from being a big burly football superstar to where you're at today with all those pictures and great memories on the wall. Those are one part of your life, but obviously you have a greater power at this point that you're really focusing on. I think that's great. So when you go and speak, do you do speaking engagements like a lot of champions do, a lot of phenomenal athletes, and whether you're a superstar in business or sports?
But I have one thing when I go speak, the first thing I make it clear is if I cannot mention Jesus Christ and what he's done for us, I don't go. I mean, I don't want to be a controversy, but if they will not let me speak about Christ, then I won't accept the speaking engagement.
Yeah, frankly, I wouldn't either. If somebody was going to book me to do a speech, and Tyrone does keynote speaking, and he's on TV for all kinds of neat stuff too. But Tyrone, when you go out and do your speaking engagements, and I'm sure that you're given latitude to talk about the things that are important to you as well, correct?
Again, everybody has their method. And I do believe God uses us all in different areas. I always say that my analogy I give people, Christ being a dollar, meaning whole. And why do I pick a dollar? Because a dollar represents wholeness in this economic system that the United States of America uses. So the dollar represents wholeness. It has nickels, it has pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, 50-cent pieces in it. And all of us collectively have different talents and different platforms. But at the end of the day, we're all pointing towards the right direction, which is our Heavenly Father. So, we all have different platforms. And but people, when they do hear me speak, they can pretty much tell who you are without sometimes even saying words. And actually, matter of fact, even sometimes in the Bible, Christ would tell people, go tell no one what I've done. So, but still people know by just your actions. And it's kind of like on a football team. You got players that are vocal leaders, and you got players that are, they just go out there and make it happen. And you can tell through their works that who they represent, what type of activities they represent. So doesn't matter to me as long as someone is using their platform to point everybody to the most high God, our Heavenly Father. And that's what it's all about. A Savior that is able to open the door for you to live eternally. So use your platform well. Anybody out there listening and watching, and just continue to save people. That's what it's all about.
From an ethical side of things, I have to tell you, from whether it's business, whether it's sports, whatever it is that you're doing, it's easy to get off of a path that's good, that's right. You know why? Because a lot of people say, I'm going to take a shortcut. There are no shortcuts. You're supposed to do the right thing. I think a lot of people seem to forget that. Maybe they see a pile of money in front of them. Well, that's what's more important, instead of understanding the ethical value. And you have a moral responsibility. You have things, whether it's sports, business, science, film, music, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, to do the right thing. And so, John, as we move together as a society, and it would be nice to have people that really grasp the idea that there really is something greater out there that people need to really think about before making silly decisions that may cause some harm to somebody else down the road.
Well, you've eventually come to a decision in your life. It's we all have that experience. We come to a decision, what's going to happen from here on out. From the standpoint of spiritual, I think that your spiritual position has to be noted. You don't have to broadcast it. You don't have to say anything to anybody. If you want to, you will. But there's a difference when if it's a Christian athlete, I think many times you'll know the difference, and you can watch their performance and understand what you're talking about. There's a lot of believers out there that are quiet, don't say much. At the same time, I think I would encourage them to say something. But that's all it is. I mean, you get a chance to speak, you get a chance to comment, you get a chance to tell your side of the story. Don't leave out your spiritual life.
Absolutely, Tyrone. I think that those are great words. And when you think about what goes on in everyday life, whether you're on the field or off the field, I think people really should think about those kind of words. Think about exactly what John had said. Makes sense to me.
It definitely makes sense. I got so many metaphors for life and sayings and everything that I've heard from wise people. One thing two things I'll tell people, those listening and watching. You always want to try to imitate those that have had success. That's what the word says. Their experience may be different. So I always tell people, listen to the experience, but extract from that experience the principles, because the principles of life never change. People want love, people want joy, people want to have an abundant life. I think those are principles of life. Now, someone experience may not be the same as yours. And the other thing I've learned is when it comes to mistakes, so to speak, in life, if we do the right thing, I think you mentioned that, Sal. So it fits right in with what I'm about to say. Obedience, sacrifice is that which obedience would have prevented. So that's, everybody think about that one. Sacrifice. When you sacrifice anything, the reason why you're sacrificing is because you were disobedient. So Christ had to come and sacrifice because we were disobedient. So again, it don't necessarily have to be a spiritual thing. It's just a principle thing. If you're sacrificing anything, if you lost the mortgage on your house, or if something is not happening, go back and check. I bet it's something that you didn't do right. And that's the reason why you sacrifice.
Absolutely. Great words. Great words from a champion. We're going to be wrapping this thing up here in a couple of minutes. John, any final words for the audience? Give them a final message, a way to follow you, anything that's on your mind. Take 30 seconds and do so.
Well, let's put it this way. Sports is not the end all that we all think it is. There's a life after sport. All of us can experience it. We can all experience it in our daily life. Spiritually speaking, I think if you understand what Christ came about and why he came to this earth, he came because he was concerned about all of us that gets too distracted in the wrong directions. So I think what he does, he puts an anchor to the point of saying, this is what it's life all about. This is what you're going to experience. And the Bible teaches you pretty much everything about what life, and gives you all the answers you need. And so for that reason, I just think that's one good thing about sport, and guys that open their mouths about their spiritual life. I think it's something that needs to be done on a more consistent basis.
Tyrone, I'm sure you would concur with that.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it's all about. We're just using our platforms to continue to help others be better. So just like the Sports Circus, that's what we do here. Give people the platform and let them go out there and juggle, whether it's balls, if they want to juggle knives. If you're going to juggle knives, man, I'm going to get out the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out the way. But hey, whatever it is you're going to juggle to make people laugh and just enjoy life, that's what it's all about.
I think you're right about that. And actually, John, very good words from a very good human. And that would be John Niland, Super Bowl champion, Dallas Cowboys, all-pro guard. This guy's done it all. He's got pictures on the wall to prove it. Probably a Super Bowl ring hanging around somewhere as well. And also, Tyrone Poole. I know you got a couple of those nice shiny rings and a couple of those wonderful trophies right behind you too. But it's all about teamwork and keeping your head screwed on right, and keeping it that way after the game. Tyrone, final words for the circus.
People, you never know who's going to come by the circus. We got people that their calling is all over the place. Some are called to make you laugh. Some are called to touch your heart, and some are called to guide your hand to the top of whatever it is you're chasing. So you never get a dull moment here at the Sports Circus. Sal is always going to make you laugh, and I'm always going to try to make you laugh. So we thank you guys for tuning in on my behalf. I want to say thank you. So that's good stuff, Sal.
Oh, that's good stuff. And John Niland, thanks for joining us today again. Tyrone Poole, two-time Super Bowl champion, American Ninja Warrior. John, we're going to want a picture of you with that trophy somewhere on the circus website. Make sure you check us out at thesportscircus.com again for upcoming guests and shows. We'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. So for John Niland and for Tyrone Poole, I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus. Join me and Hall of Fame world champion and all-star celebrity guest for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms. Also, thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
If you're tired of the fake news and tired of all the left-wing BS and agendas out there, if you want to do your right part to clean out the swamps and hit the lefties where it hurts, their pocketbook, we all know the president and his cronies hired thousands more IRS employees and agents. Now that's not very American. There's a way to fight back. Fellow conservatives out there, call American Tax Relief. They can help you pay less to the IRS. Don't you give a penny more to spend to the left-wing agendas. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes or haven't filed your taxes in years, call my friends at American Tax Relief. They'll give you a 100% free introduction to their program, and trust me, they're on the right side of your freedom. Pay the IRS less. Call now.
800-958-2157. 800-958-2157. That's 800-958-2157. Paid for by the Tax Doctor.